وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. يروي الشيخان فيما اتفق عليه من حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. The hadith tonight collection of both Imam Bukhari and Muslim, read to us by Abu Hurairah. And the theme is the dealing with tribulation. And I think I'm going to cut it short and end it with tonight. And then starting next week, we have 1 month or 4 weeks until Ramadan. So we'll start doing some Ramadan prep and talking about the month and what the Prophet ﷺ said about the month and what he did during the month. And hopefully that will just get people into the mood of preparing for it, inshallah ta'ala. And then we'll maybe continue this theme after the month of Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us time to live, inshallah, and to do that. And he says, عليه الصلاة والسلام, here, this is what he said, ستكون فتن القاعد فيها خير من القائم والقائم فيها خير من الماشي والماشي فيها خير من الساعي من يشرف لها تستشرفه ومن وجد ملجأ أو ملاذا فليعذ به. So the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith, which is a very famous hadith within this topic of a hadith that talk about fitan, talk about tribulation. And like I said, fitan is a word that usually when we hear it in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is talking about an apocalyptic event that's going to happen very far in the future, close to Yawm al-Qiyamah, when really fitan happen all the time. And they happen to individuals, and they happen to communities, and they happen in they happen in many different ways. And his teachings, alayhi salatu wasalam, in all of these ahadith, there's a common thread for all of them. Like there are certain basic things that he's always trying to remind us of during those times. And here is not that different. He says there'll be fitan, ستكون fitan. There'll be a time where there'll be tribulations and problems and times of confusion and chaos and problems, where the person who is sitting back away from it, like not involved at all, is better than the person who is قائم. So he talks about 4 states: القاعد والقائم والماشي والساعي. So if there's an endeavor of some sort, then you have someone who's sitting back, not involved, someone who is standing up, who is a little bit involved, someone who is mashi, who is a little bit more involved, and someone who is sa'i, someone who's actually spearheading the whole involvement. So the Prophet ﷺ talks about all 4 statuses. He says that the person who is sitting is better than the person who is standing in it, and this person who is standing is better than the person who is walking, and the person who is walking better than the person who is putting effort. Meaning, the farther away you are from this fitna, the farther you're away from contributing to it, worsening it, pushing the agenda of it forward, the better off you are. Man yushrif laha, if you decide that you want to get involved in it, tastashrifhu, it will come to you. Like it is out to seek you. So if you show any degree, yushrif laha, meaning you just make yourself vulnerable to it. Al-ishraf is what is ishraf in English? Al-mushrif is what, the manager, supervisor, right? Al-ishraf is like you're not really touching it. You're just from afar. Yushrif laha, you kind of show your head to it, it will come to you. You don't have to come to it. The fitna is of such, is so widespread, it's affecting everybody to the point where all you have to do is just make yourself a little bit vulnerable to it. Just show some interest in it, it will come to you. وَمَنْ يَجِدْ مَلْجَأً أَوْ مَلَاذًا. And if you find a place, a safe haven, somewhere to be away from it, فَلْيَعُذْ بِهِ, then seek refuge in it. So you can think about big fitnas. You're probably, as I'm telling this hadith, that's probably what you're thinking about. You're thinking about, Ya'juj and Ma'juj and stuff. How about you put that aside for a second, just for the purpose of me talking to you about this hadith. Think about something else. Think about other tribulations that exist in today's world. Think about materialism. Think about fahisha. Think about substance abuse. Think about the lack of good ethics in general, or the lack of close family ties, or the lack of empathy. Think about the fitan that we actually are dealing with today, not the ones that we may or may not live to ever see, and that we don't fully even understand what he meant by them, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said them. Like, we don't necessarily fully comprehend what he meant by these things when he talked about them, alayhi salatu wasalam, because he spoke in a very figurative manner. And it was very open-ended sentences that he talked about this stuff. So it's hard to know what exactly he was meaning. Time will tell us. We will learn about his prophecies, alayhi salatu wasalam, and it will increase your iman in what he taught, alayhi salatu wasalam, for sure. But look at this hadith from the perspective of your life. When there's when these fitan are happening, when the world is brewing all of this, and to a degree that you don't have the ability to actually end it. You can't end, this brewing is happening, something has been put into motion, and at this point you don't have the ability to actually push it back. Then at least make sure that you're not contributing to it. Make sure that you distance yourself from contributing to these fitnas in the world to the best of your ability. Because all it takes is for you to make yourself available to it, and it will come to you. All that has to happen is that you be vulnerable to this fitna, and it will enter your home. It will bring all of its garbage into your household, and it will pollute your own home and your children and your soul. And if you find a safe haven, then you seek refuge in it. If you have a place that you're not going to find that fitna in, then you go to that and you seek refuge in it. Because there's a lot of things that are happening in the world around us that we may not have the ability to change. It was set in motion a while ago. It's going to inevitably run its course. Certain types of problems, there's an inevitability of their existence, and they have to run whatever course they're going to run. And despite your best efforts and mine, you may not have the ability to influence it and stop it. But what you have to focus on is that you're not contributing negatively to it, and that you're not allowing it to catch you and to pollute you and to ruin you, and that you're looking for safe havens from these things so that they don't ruin who you are going to be. They don't take away your ethics or your principles or your values. So the Prophet ﷺ, in another very important piece of wisdom here, reminds you, sometimes you can't stop. So you're like, well, who said that you can't stop it? He did, alayhi salatu wasalam. What did he say at the beginning of this hadith? He said, ستكون فتن. There are going to be, meaning they're going to be. عجبك ما, you like it, you don't like it, they're going to be. They're going to be. So just make sure you're the قاعد, you're not the قائم, you're not the ماشي, you're not the الساعي, and make sure you don't تشرف لها, because if you make yourself vulnerable, it will catch you. And find that safe haven, the place where you can protect who you are from it. And I find that to be a beautiful reminder for all of us. And I'm going to end this series temporarily with this hadith that he teaches us, عليه الصلاة والسلام. يروي الإمام. طبعا there's another narration to this hadith very similar to it in Imam Tirmidhi's collection. Imam Tirmidhi's collection, narrated to us by I think someone else. It's not Abu Hurayra. I can't remember who it is though. Where he says, عليه الصلاة والسلام, فإن أتوك لبيتك وبسطوا فإن أتوني لبيتي وبسطوا أيديهم إلي. One of the Sahaba would ask the question, what if they come to my house and they put the sword at my, فقال كن كابن آدم. Be like the son of Adam. قيل إن بسطت إلي يدك لتقتلني ما أنا بباسط يدي إليك لأقتلك. Especially within, and this is obviously within the context of the Muslim ummah, which is I talked about last week or yesterday in some degree of detail. يروي الإمام البخاري والإمام مسلم كل في صحيحه عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ستكون فتن القاعد فيها خير من القائم والقائم فيها خير من الماشي والماشي فيها خير من الساعي من يشرف لها تستشرفه ومن يجد ملجأ أو ملاذا فليعذ به. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك